Hello and welcome back to All In Driving. My wife and I were lucky enough to go to Austin GP last year, and I want to share the experience with you, both at the track and outside of it. There's a lot to unpack, and I plan to go into detail in future videos, but let's start with getting there and basic costs. First off, if you're in North America and have a little cash to throw around, we now have 5 races within a reasonable distance: Miami, Vegas, Austin, Montreal, and Mexico City. We chose Austin based on our schedule and the overall fan experience we were expecting. It was also the cheapest option for us for the entire trip, and we'd never been to Texas. Before we could get to the track, first we had to get to Austin. If you wait too long, flights are going to skyrocket. Hotels, unless you're, wanting a super premium hotel, are going to be sold out. So it ended up being cheaper for us to actually fly into Dallas, rent a car, and drive down than it would have been to fly into Austin. You could also fly into San Antonio or Houston. All of them are within a few hours drive of each other. So you could always add on an extra day like we did in Dallas before heading down to Austin. Most of the hotels were already full up when we booked. So we chose to stay in this tiny home trailer cabin in a community that helps people get out of homelessness, which is a great cause and a great low budget option as long as you're okay with having to walk outside to get to the toilet or get to the showers. I'll put the link in the comments below in case you're interested in staying there in your time in Austin. The last major piece of the puzzle are the race tickets themselves, which are reasonably priced for Austin. You can get a grounds pass, which allows you to watch from any of the public grassy areas for around $400 a person. That's what we did, and though it can be tough to find the perfect spot, there are plenty of awesome places around the track to see the race from. Just be sure to bring a blanket and something to protect yourself from mostly the sun, but also potentially rain. Umbrellas are great for both. I would also suggest, a low chair definitely help with the comfort level. So grandstand tickets start at about $525 and go up from there. If you want to go all out, you can spend 10 grand plus on hospitality suites, but it's not in my price range. I would definitely do it if that were an option. To compare this with the other North American races, Miami's campus pass is $450 with the cheapest bleachers starting at $6. In Vegas, you're paying a minimum of $600 with bleachers starting at $1,500. And at the time this video goes live, the cheapest option in Mexico for this year is $800. Canada has the cheapest prices overall and is a great option if you're up north or on the East Coast especially. You can score general admission tickets for just under $300, and the cheapest bleachers aren't that much more. But there is actually one more thing you need to sort out before you can get to the track, and that's how you'll actually arrive to the Circuit of the Americas. So there are a few options. If you have a car, you can pay for parking either at one of their lots or a private lot. If you're wanting, you can camp, which lets you be there right when the gates open. If you want to do dry camping with a tent or just sleeping in your car, it's reasonably priced. But if you have an RV and you want to have, electric and water hookups, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. So just be aware of that. If you're like us, we dropped our car off before the race weekend. We just use it to get to Austin. You have a couple options as well. You can do Uber or Lyft, and you'll get dropped off. You'll need to take a free shuttle from the drop-off point. So that can work. They also have paid shuttles from a few spots downtown. That's what we did. You still have to walk like that 10-15 minutes, but it's fairly straightforward, fairly easy, especially if you're within walking distance of one of those. For the race weekend itself, I didn't really know what to expect. I had the impression that watching in person wouldn't give me a full sense of the race and what was going on. And while that's a little bit true, the circuit has a lot of elevation, and so there are some areas where you can see a good chunk of the track from the general admission seats. If you're up high enough at turn 1, you can see the cars from the main straight all the way through the first 4 corners and then pick them up again for 17 through 20. Also, the sheer speed of the cars isn't something that translates well into television. You really need to be there to see it. The next big thing is there's so much to do other than just watch the Formula One races. There are other series to watch throughout the day. There are concerts at night. You have access to some of the paddock area for the non-Formula One cars, which is very cool. There are racing simulators, a wind tunnel that's supposed to recreate the speed of what it would be like if you were in the car. And I tried a pit crew challenge, which was a hell of a lot of fun. There are also a ton of places to buy merch, a ton of places to eat. You can ride the zip line, although we focused mainly on the races. They also have comedy shows, and they had luchador wrestling. I don't know yet what other race weekends are like, but if you're bored at COTA, it's your fault. With our grounds passes, we explored nearly the entire trackside throughout the 3 days. I want to make another video specifically on where to sit and get the best viewing experience, but for now, I'm happy to just give you a brief overview, some of my favorite spots. From turn 1, you can easily see the main straight and into the paddock, as well as downtown Austin on a clear day, and a decent portion of the track if you're on the lawn and like I said, really, really high up. The viewing is great, and you're close to the entrance to get in for the podium ceremony on Sunday. Turns 3 to 9 are generally what you'd initially expect from being in person. Cars zoom by left to right, and then you wait a couple minutes, cars go by again, wait a couple more minutes. So while it's really cool, I wouldn't spend my entire race there. Maybe a little time on Friday or Saturday for sure. Turn 11 is pretty dramatic. You've got the cars coming down the hill towards you before they take the hairpin and go away. It's great for photos. It's a cool spot. And there's no grandstands there. So there's a pretty big slope that you're sitting on the grass. Unless you're really short, you can pretty much see from anywhere. In general, you want to be as close as possible without the fence obstructing your view. At turn 16, you get to see the cars pass in front, but also turns 1 and 2 a little further away. The infield area has a ton of great spots to catch some of the action. Near the cantina, you can watch cars go down the back straight, which is pretty much the only place you can see that up close. The other side is where the RVs are parked on the outside of the track. And then if you walk further up the hill, you can see the cars slalom through the S's as they approach the top of the hill at turn 10. Keep in mind that the walkways that go over the track shut down during races, so you'll want to be on whatever side you want to be on before the race starts. Overall, I would suggest taking the first day to just walk as much of the track as you can, kind of get a feel for the area. That way, Saturday and Sunday, you can really focus in on where you want to be and enjoy yourself. So we ended up at turn 1 on race day, partly because of reviews and the view of the race and everything I was reading, but also so we could be close to the gates to try to get to see the podium ceremony. Speaking of, expect a rock concert-like atmosphere getting to the podium after the race. If you want a good spot, you'll need to be in the front of the herd and know where you want to be. For our first time, we were at the gate ready to go with a few laps in the race, but we're kind of clueless once we got there, besides just generally heading towards the podium. We weren't aggressive enough to get a prime spot, but I was able to get a couple photos between someone's legs. Can't say for sure, but I think the entrance near turn 20 is closer to the podium. So if that was your focus, I would try that instead. If you're not super excited about rushing to try to see the podium, I would just take it leisurely, watch the race from where you're at, then get on the track. Being on the track itself is a pretty cool experience. I really enjoyed. Now, before or after race weekend, I would definitely suggest spending a day or two in Austin, exploring the city. There's world-class barbecue and a lot of history and really cool things to do. In one day, we crammed in the Texas State History Museum, which is awesome, the Capitol, the University of Texas, and downtown. But we didn't make it to places like Zilker Park, which I hear is really cool. We did go across the bridge, but didn't do a lot of the other stuff. Part of that was just time. Part of it was weather. Even though we had 3 days of 90 plus degree weather while we were at the track. Monday was very rainy, and tough to really be outside for a good amount of time. 2 days of exploring Austin probably would have been ideal. And for me, maybe a third day, going to COTA on like the Tuesday after or something. They've got go-karts, they've got other things that are just not open up during the race weekend because there's so many people and they can't do it all. That's just a brief overview of my first Grand Prix in Austin, first one ever. And I have to say, I cannot wait to go back. This year, we're going back to Austin. We'll be at turn 9 in the bleachers. And I'm excited to have dedicated seats. I think Friday we'll still be roaming around, doing some stuff. Saturday a little bit as well, especially in between. But we've got a spot for Sunday, which I'm really stoked about. For 2025, we may go to a different race. But with 1 year's experience under our belts in Austin, I feel like we can get so much more out of our experience this year. We'll also be renting a car and paying for parking this year. So I'll be able to share that experience as well compared to using the shuttles. Keep an eye out for future videos going more in depth on where to sit, how to get the most out of the race weekend, and what to do in Austin to round out your trip. Like and subscribe to get notified when those go live. But for now, let me know what questions you have about going to COTA in the comments. Until next time, cheers.